Right, well, retail spending in South Africa's township economies has not been in the spotlight because not many people have done the maths on the volumes being spent. Well, COVID-19, the internet and mobile phones have changed that for good. In Soweto alone, which has a population of 2.2 million people, there's 34 billion rand in annual consumption. To talk to us more on this and the untapped potential in South Africa's township economies, and to give us more insight to share on why more businesses need to put in the time and effort to understand consumers in this space, and why that will unlock huge value across the whole economy. We're now joined by Jessica Boonstra of the on-demand grocery delivery service Yebo Fresh. A very good afternoon to you, Jessica. Thank you very much for joining us here on SABC News.
Thank you, Flo. Thanks for having me.
At the start, why do you think that it's kind of taken so long to have reliable, food service deliveries in townships like Soweto? One would think that the market would be saturated just looking at, the volumes. Was there always a concern of safety? I know that, some of the delivery guys would always say, there might be issues with safety. And how have you kind of circumvented that if that was the issue?
Well, I guess what we have encountered, we're mainly operating in the Cape Town area. Yeah. And what we've encountered is indeed a lot of prejudices around townships. The sentiment that townships are a place for charity rather than one for business. Indeed, there's concerns around safety, around a lack of budget availability. And there are many, many challenges. But what we've seen, and especially since we started operating and the tremendous growth we've experienced since, is that indeed there is a place for business. There is a big need for transformation in terms of food. There's a lack of good access to good food, and this is what we're all about. Generally, the monthly shopping trip involves travel to the other side of town, standing in line for 45 minutes up to, during lockdown, 3 hours or more, and then carrying back 50 to 60 kilos of heavy groceries, including paying the taxi money. So that is a challenge that needs to be resolved. And there's a place for technology, and there's a place for companies like us to attack that problem and turn it into an opportunity.
Talking about creating an opportunity, what does this really mean about apart from making things easier for someone perhaps who would necessarily be shopping and going on two taxis perhaps to get to their shopping destination, but what does it help in terms of the economy, in terms of the townships themselves? Because ultimately this might be also removing business from, and I'm sure you know of, spaza shops in certain townships, and I wonder if that might be causing a bit of an issue with those who have created businesses inside the townships.
No, absolutely. So to make it clear, we set out to do three things. Create good access to food, or easy access to good food, and then in particular the big monthly shopping trip. So the trip where people go to the mall, not the top-up shopping trip that's often done at local spazas or spazarettes. Then to create jobs, which are incredibly important. And we have managed to create up to 30, 40 new jobs that weren't there, even though we're a young starting company, only 2 years old. And the third one is to be a really strong part of the local fabric of the community. So indeed, where we're saying, instead of competing with local spazas, street vendors, and all of these players who are incredibly important for the economy, let's work together. So let's make sure that we combine shopping power, let's aggregate the buying of these different players. And we've managed to do so. So by now we are servicing a whole load of local ECDs, NGOs, soup kitchens, community kitchens, fast food restaurants that are in need of food. So instead of competing with those players, let's work together and make sure that we strengthen the access to food in this local economy and create a really strong food ecosystem and wherever we are. And
how did you start, Jessica? I mean, who's your target market in these townships? And the reason I ask is because there's very many aging communities in the townships. From what I know, very many of the young people in townships usually kind of move to the suburbs when they start working and so forth. And I'm kind of just wondering, if you're catering to an older market, would they be, tech savvy in terms of being able to use your services and shop online, or are you finding that they are able to do so, to shop online, and also maybe that I'm wrong, that it's not necessarily aging communities in townships?
Well, we've learned tremendously. So first of all, our target customers are indeed the consumers. So it's the mother or the gogo often who takes care of her family.
Yeah.
It's also township businesses I just mentioned, and we've got amazing partnerships with a whole range of NGOs. And we've been able to do over 80,000 food parcels in the past period. But back to your question about the consumer and her shopping habits. Indeed, what we've done is we've taken a technology approach to simplifying the shopping experience for the customer. So in the back end, we'll have technology-enabled ordering, purchasing, fulfillment, and delivery. But for the consumer, it's a matter of using what she knows. So you can WhatsApp us. We've got a WhatsApp service center and people who speak up to 7 different languages and are able to translate the order into technology.
Yeah.
Approach from there. And in the end, what happens is that 24 hours later, the right product shows up at the right place at the right time. And that is all the consumer needs to worry about. So the WhatsApp is enough to place the order and take care of everything else.
All right, Jessica, pleasure speaking to you, and indeed good luck with what you're doing, and hopefully this becomes somewhat of a norm and makes things a little bit easier for those in townships. Thank you very much for giving us your time, Jessica Boonstra.
Thank you so much.
All right, that's Jessica Boonstra, founder of Yebo Fresh, an online food delivery service for townships, which has just started now in Cape Town.